Remember when you were a student? I'm sure you had amazing lessons, but also others that felt a little bit irrelevant or just long lectures that you just had to put up with, right? Every day more we're getting used to having choice. We have more power than ever to choose the kind of content we consume, the products we'll buy, and even opportunities to customize the services we hire. And this shift in society naturally affects our learners' expectations. Now more than ever, students expect lessons to be personalized. But how can we give students what they want and still make sure that lessons are pedagogically sound? I'm Rubens Heredia, one of Pavilion ELT vloggers, and in this video I want to share with you 5 tips to make lessons more student-centered and engaging, regardless of whether you're teaching face-to-face or online lessons. So come with me. Tip number 1, develop student self-awareness. As teachers, we are usually aware of the areas in which our students are doing well, their difficulties, and what they need to work on. But the same is not true for our learners. After all, they're not the specialists in language learning, are they? A lot of what we do in lessons can seem irrelevant to students or just mechanical. Helping our learners become more aware of their performance, of the learning objectives, and of the things they like or do not like doing in class can make it easier for learners to understand the purpose of the work we do in the classroom. And when students understand the purpose of what we do in the classroom and how it will help them develop, they might be more motivated to learn and even become more autonomous learners. According to Larry Stephan, with a combination of individual purpose and motivation, they will be best placed to explore their own capabilities, open up their own opportunities for real-world practice, and become accountable for their own development. Self-assessment tools and questionnaires can help your students become more aware of the learning process, but I think nothing beats frequent feedback and clear communication with students. When giving instructions, instead of just telling students what to do, tell them why you're doing it, how it relates to the lesson's objective, and how everything is going to help them learn. And after the lesson, check with students if they feel the lesson aims were achieved and if they would like to have similar activities in the future. This may help create the conditions for students to have a voice in the course syllabus and help you design personalized and relevant lessons. Tip number 2, encourage peer checking and peer feedback. Asking students to check answers to activities in pairs or small groups is one of the simplest and most effective actions a teacher can take in order to encourage collaborative work, get students to really think about their answers, and come to conclusions on their own. When students check answers in pairs or small groups, they have the opportunity to articulate the reasons for their answers, help peers who are struggling to understand, and clarify their own doubts or simply understand what doubts they still have. Peer checking also allows students to make mistakes and give wrong answers in a less intimidating environment, avoiding embarrassment when they are called out by the teachers in front of the whole group but are not sure of the answer. There's a very interesting post on English Teaching Professional by Elspeth Pollack in which she describes student-led techniques to do feedback and error correction. Check out the link in the description below. And you can take this even further by encouraging students to be the first line of feedback when working with writing in a process of peer review. According to Morgan, here are some benefits of peer review. It increases learner autonomy, it increases audience awareness, it generates meaningful student talk, students learn from each other, it develops critical awareness, and it's pitched at the learner's level. Peer review can be done in class during the lessons or as part of homework, and online tools like Google Docs and Padlet can make the peer review process viable even if students are socially distancing or working online. Tip number 3, use guided discovery tasks. Studies show that learners benefit from both deductive and inductive learning. In deductive learning, which is considered the most traditional way of teaching, the rules are presented to students who then try to apply them in practice activities. Inductive learning, on the other hand, is considered more student-centered because the students work out the rules themselves. And guided discovery tasks are tools that teachers use in order to accomplish that. According to Andrea Zacchini, in guided discovery tasks, the teacher provides learners with the chance to be exposed to and analyze language in order to help them understand the rules by themselves. By using a task, questions, or awareness-raising activities, students are led to identify the use, meaning, form, and pronunciation of the target language. The idea behind it is that the mental effort that guided discovery tasks require may make it easier for students to remember the rules later on. This aha moment that students go through when they finally get it may be more memorable than a lecture given by the teacher. But guided discovery tasks can be tricky to create. Luis Otávio Barros, one of my favorite people in ELT, shared some of the potential pitfalls in an article in Modern English Teacher. According to him, unless there are enough examples of the target language, students won't have enough data to draw inferences from. Even if there are enough examples, students may fail to work out the rules if the sentences are too long, ambiguous, or filled with unknown vocabulary. And if teachers do the activity with the whole class and don't give students enough time to think, there will be very little in the way of inductive language analysis going on. When teachers come up with their own guided discovery questions and read them out loud, intonation might give the answers away. If you want to see examples of guided discovery activities, just follow this link. I'll also include it in the description below. Tip number 4, let students create the reading and listening tasks. We all know the benefits of bringing authentic materials into our lessons, and this is something we already talked about in a previous video. Using real-life articles, posts, and videos can be very motivating to students, but the process of selecting texts and designing the tasks that go with them can be very time-consuming when we're planning our lessons. So why not let students do all the hard work? Allowing students to select the material that we'll use in reading or listening lessons, instead of using only the ones provided by the course book, can help us deliver more relevant and engaging lessons, using the topic and the type of media our students already enjoy. Here's an example of how you can design a lesson in which students choose the topic, select the text, and design the questions for the reading or listening tasks. First, students decide on the topic they want to find information about. Then, they design questions that they want the answers to. Next step, they search for a text or video on the topic and then check if the text answers the group's questions. And finally, they share information they found with the group. If you think that the process of asking students to research and select texts is going to be too time-consuming, you can simplify it. First, select the material yourself. Then, show students the title, illustrations, or the thumbnail and ask them to come up with just the questions that they want to get the answer to. Tip number 5, get feedback from students. We can make huge efforts to make our lessons more learner-centered, but if we're not observing our learners and checking whether they're benefiting from what we do, our lessons are not really learner-centered, are they? Student feedback can give us precious information on what's working and what isn't. According to Hall Houston, these are some of the advantages of seeking student feedback. Asking for feedback shows that you care. It encourages students to reflect on their own learning. It allows students' opinions to influence lesson planning. And it gives students a voice in how they spend time in class. I hope these ideas are useful to you and help you think of ways to make your students' experience more personalized and engaging. And I'd love to hear your ideas. Let me know in the comments how you make your lessons more learner-centered. And you can get in touch with me on all social media at What is ELT. Keep safe and keep teaching.